How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTCReaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading with the prices going up or down. So over on Dixie for the daily, it does look like we could roll over and make that shoulder, so I would watch of a break of this support level. If we see that break tomorrow, then it's likely we would test that neckline, and we do have a 78% chance to do so. So if we break that neckline, then we could push down to our 104, and if we don't hold that 104, that's where that 100 would come into play. Remember, if this does happen, that could help push Bitcoin and the rest of crypto forward, because usually when Dixie goes down, crypto goes up. Our momentum is pulling back, money flow is pulling back, VWAP is rounding, stochastic's pushing up, and RSI is pretty flat. So watch that stochastic. If that stochastic does not make a strong bounce here, then it's likely we could end up breaking away. So that VWAP does want to reject that neutral as well. Keep a close eye on that. If that VWAP does make a rejection here, it's likely bears would remain in control and we would see that push down. Over on the 1 hour, stochastic's rounding, RSI is pulling back. VWAP is attempting to make lower highs, so watch for a break of neutral. With these lower highs and lower lows, that would create a bearish trend to bring momentum lower, causing it to round away and causing money flow to break down, which would break down those higher time frames. And remember, there is a chance here as well to pull back to that 105 area. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we did see a little bit of a push up. So Bitcoin is doing better than altcoins. Some of our altcoins that saw strong runs are getting a little bit of a cool off. We did warn of that happening, and that's why we took profits when we did, because it's better to get some profits than watch a big crash and be like, man, I wish I got some profits out of that. So over on the daily for Bitcoin dominance, it does look like we could make a rounding bottom. This rounding bottom, if followed by a strong green candle, could try to break that value area high right around that 57.8, 58% range. Our RSI does want to push up, VWAP is trying to gain strength, momentum wants to push up, and the money flow is in the green, so we do look pretty decent on the daily. Over on the 1 hour, we do have lower highs and lower lows. This is a pretty straight channel, so I would watch that. Remember, when you get a pretty straight channel, you can end up breaking forward, because that would be a descending channel, and a descending channel usually breaks out on that third touch to the top. It does say we don't have much of a chance of seeing that, but I would still watch for a breakout, a retest, and a bounce. If we get a breakout, a retest, and a bounce, then Bitcoin could continue to outperform our altcoins. So I would watch, but remember, that doesn't mean altcoins have to sell off. We did see our total take a little bit of a breather as it retested our max like 1.15, and then we saw a bit of a rejection from that. So our stochastic does want to round, our RSI is pulling back, momentum is rounding, VWAP is pretty flat, and money flow is starting to weaken, so watch that VWAP. If that VWAP continues to push down here, momentum will round away, and money flow will start to follow. Again, we could see our total take a little bit of a breather. Not all of our altcoins would have to sell off. We did see some altcoins take a run in their own thing. Remember, you do see kind of money shift around. So you go from like one niche to another, and then you will go from like those little niche altcoins back into Bitcoin, back into Ethereum, and then it'll go back to the altcoins, so you kind of have that cycle. Money flow does want to pull back, RSI is starting to pull back as well, VWAP is starting to reject, momentum is pushing down, so watch that VWAP close. We have a consistent lower high, and we are pulling back for consistent lows. If we continue to remain bearish and favor bearish here, momentum will continue lower, money flow will break down, and those higher time frames could start to weaken, which could cause us to break away. This could be like a slanted head and shoulders. I would be careful of that, but we do have a pretty straight channel up, and just like that straight channel down, a straight channel up is a bearish pattern. That straight channel down is a bullish pattern, so remember, they are kind of weird. So this is not a bullish continuation. A bullish continuation is when your highs and lows don't connect. We are trying to disconnect a little bit here, but I would still watch, because we have 3 touches to the top. We got rejection at that top, and now we are pulling back toward the bottom with lower highs and a potential lower low. If we get that lower low, that's where we could get that breakout, a retest, and possibly a rejection. RSI is starting to pull back. Momentum is rounding, VWAP is starting to push down, and momentum is losing strength. So this could be positive for our buy orders, as a little bit of a cool off on our altcoins would allow us to scoop some more up and DCA in. Remember, DCA in, DCA out. If you see a decent run up, take some profits, don't get greedy. Because get slaughtered, you're going to get slaughtered if you're trying to get the max gain. So RSI is overall losing strength on Bitcoin futures for the daily. Momentum is pushing down. VWAP is favoring bearish, but we have higher lows and a potential higher high. So watch for this to continue. If it continues, this could help push us forward and leave this gap behind. Now remember, gaps do have an 80% likelihood to fill, but we could end up leaving it to fill at a later date. We could run up, break 100K, and then see some sort of rejection and fill that gap later. So speaking of 100K, we do have a 60% chance still to hit around that 103K, so that does look positive. That would be providing we don't make a lower low with these higher highs. So we have higher highs with higher lows starting to push us up. I don't think they connect right now, so the lows right there, the highs right there, so they do not connect. So since they do not connect, this is not a rising channel. This is a bullish continuation, and that helps push you forward rather than break you down like a rising channel. Stochastic does want to round, RSI is starting to lose strength, VWAP is pushing down, momentum is rounding, and money flows in the green, but if that VWAP continues to push down and breaks that neutral, we could end up breaking away. That momentum making lower highs is a little cautionary because remember, if our indicators start to weaken while we push up, that push up may not be sustainable. So still mirroring that from last night, where our VWAP did look a little indecisive, like it was weakening despite price trying to push up. So over on Bitcoin for the daily, RSI wants to push forward, momentum wants to gain strength, VWAP is trying to break neutral, and money flows in the green. So I would watch this as positive, and this did leave us with a nice gain as we got in on that little bit of a flash crash back down toward that support area, and now we saw a push up. We pretty much only have the gain of today's gains though, as we have bought very heavy in this range. Again, that's why DCAing in at different ranges is more helpful than buying in at consistent ranges, but buying in a range where you could get a breakout from can help you later. It kind of depends on how you're trading. If you're doing more long term, you're going to buy at different strong support resistances, spread your capital out along a amount of time that you would feel. So if you want to have like $3,000 and you want to spend a couple hundred a month, then you could spend like $200, $250 a month. Kind of spread it out throughout the year. Don't just do one big lump sum unless you get like a very strong crash down. Then you may want to go a little bit more aggressive, kind of like we did for that support right here. So over on Bitcoin for the 1 hour, stochastic does want to round away, RSI is pushing forward, momentum is gaining strength, and that VWAP is pulling back. Watch that VWAP very close. If it continues to pull back, our momentum could start to continue to lose strength, which would make bearish divergence as momentum is weakening while price pushes up. Remember, that creates a bit of a like mouth that does spill out and crash you down. So that money flow is in the green, but with the VWAP pulling back, that could be retraced if we're not careful. So that's kind of mirroring that may not be a substantial push. We could still get a push as we're going bullish, but it may not be very long lasting. It could be we get that push up, break 100K, and then flash crash down to that 77K, maybe meet some support there, and then ideally we would continue forward, making that strong support just above that previous bull market high. So our stochastic is pretty strong here. RSI is pushing forward, is pretty maxed out. Momentum is maxed out as well. VWAP is kind of weak. Watch that VWAP. We do have consistent highs and higher lows, but those highs are very weak. Money flow is in the green, so I would lean more toward the 1 hour. There is a high potential still of pushing down toward that 20-cent range though. So over on the 1 hour, we are having a bit of a retest. We have a higher high. This could be a higher low. If we continue to get higher highs with higher lows, that could be positive, providing they do not connect, and they almost do. So I would warn against a rising channel. Remember, a rising channel would break you down, and that would give us that retest of that value area high right around that 30-cent range. Stochastic does want to pull back. RSI is pushing down. VWAP is starting to break down. We did try to get a decent bullish run, but we couldn't get very high, and we got rejection. Momentum is rounding as a result with a red dot, and if that does not reverse, money flow will start to pull back, weakening those higher time frames. Over on the daily for Anchor, stochastic is running forward. Momentum is pushing up. VWAP does have higher highs with slightly lower lows, so we have some indecision going on here. Again, watch lower time frames, but we did get that break up, so we will delete that as we didn't delete that the other day. We got our break up and we saw that kind of double bottom break forward. This could be where you may want to take some profits. If you haven't, we can get on that on the trading portion, but I don't think we really have much anchor to take profits with right now. Momentum is pushing forward, VWAP is gaining strength, and the money flows in the green. If that VWAP can stay bullish on lower time frames, then we could push forward, but right now it does look like we may have a rejection of that 51.72, and if we don't, if we end up breaking this 47.47, then we could see a push down toward this 43.87. So there's only a 38% chance of that happening, and that would be dependent on us making lower lows. So watch for lower lows and lower highs, as we do have higher highs and higher lows, but it does look like we're struggling to maintain above that resistance. We ideally we've gotten a push up after getting either of these two red candles, and we saw the bulls kind of struggle here. Momentum is starting to push down as a result, starting to create some bearish divergence. RSI is starting to weaken, stochastic is pushing down, and VWAP is in the bearish territory, so again, exercise caution. Over on XRP for the daily, we do have a little bit of a retracement, so again, we did have an order, I thought, to buy in somewhere around this neckline. That actually might be that arrow there, so maybe we got our XRP finally, but momentum does want around. We have a double red dot, VWAP is breaking down, and money flow is starting to pull back, so I would exercise caution as we could continue to see some losses here if we're not careful. So we may end up taking doing some profit taking on possibly Bitcoin today as well, because for our position, just because we bought in at that consistent range. So because we bought in at that consistent range, and there is a risk of rejecting that 100K, we do have a very high risk to reward ratio, where if your average Bitcoin price is a bit lower, you can swing it a little better. And hopefully you're already in profits and took your initial out, because if you can get your profits, get your initial out, let your profits ride, then you have free money working for you. If it's at a loss, no big deal. You can hold it long term and use that small balance to continue stacking those little gains. And then you can eventually take your profits when time is fitted for you and when you see the opportunity. Momentum does want to round, so stochastic is starting to push down here on the daily for algo. RSI is pushing down, VWAP is breaking down, and the money flow is starting to pull back, so watch those lower time frames. Over on the 1 hour, we pretty much saw our full breakdown of our head and shoulders, so we will delete this pattern now as it's pretty much played out. Did not mean to delete that. There we go. So we do have lower highs and lower lows. I would exercise caution. If this continues, it will break us away as the highs and lows don't connect. So this is a bearish continuation, which could push us down toward that 37.49. Thought we had some lower buy orders here as well. If we should place some, so we will gain that shortly. Stochastic does want to pull back, RSI is pushing down, VWAP does want to reject away, and momentum is starting to round with the red dot. So if that VWAP breaks down and gets consistent lows with lower highs from this point, it's likely we will continue lower, retest at 37.49, and if we can't hold there, it's likely we will make a test toward our 34 and then our other support levels if we're not careful. So over to our trading area. Speaking of algo, we'll just start right here. So we'll open our trading window, open our open orders. Our only open order is for Anchor. Algo, let's see, we have 501. Our average price is 46.88. So we're not at quite a decent profit. We're at a little bit of a loss there. We only have a little bit of a win because we took that initial out. So, oh, actually that's last price, not our average price. Average price is 45.55, so we could still take a little bit of profits. I wish you could move your columns, but so we could take a little profits if we wanted. I'm not too worried about this. It is one of our highest holdings as far as coin quantity, but it is also a pretty cheap coin in my opinion, and it has potential to continue up. So that being said, our average price is just below where we are. We would not really want to buy into this range, just like Bitcoin, because that Bitcoin kind of has us at the higher risk reward, higher risk, lower reward. So we would want to eyeball somewhere near our lower support. So we did see a very quick push through this 34 and 37 is probably going to happen where we may retest around this 39.86. So maybe we do a trade order here. Don't know why it won't let us do a trade. There we go, trade buy. I do not want 400. We'll just do like 200 at that range. And then we can kind of move that right there, right where that support resistance is, modify our order, and we will make sure that's out quite a way. That way it doesn't decide to cancel on us right away. So the range we decided to pick right here has several candles here, several candles here, is just shy of that support resistance area, is lower than our current buy-in price. So it has a few things going. Again, we're not going too heavy because it's not very much lower. If we were to push somewhere around like this 25, you'd probably want to do a heavier buy because there may not be a chance we revisit that 25 again if we do end up pulling back there to begin with. So we did mention taking profits on Bitcoin. We aren't at the greatest, we have about 700, but that's only like a 2% gain because of what we have. We may want to consider scaling out since we did buy in very heavy at this range. Now, don't feel FOMO, so don't be like, oh, I don't know if I want to sell out because I don't know if I want to buy or, sorry, trying to get this order while I talk. I don't know if I want to get out of the market or not. Don't feel like I want to lose out, but again, we have a lot of Bitcoin here. We're holding a lot at not the best risk reward ratio, so we would be trying to take a decent scalp out. That way we could get some profits. So I'm going to take about half, so we'll do 0.125. That'll leave us with about 0.15. Oops. So 0.125. Hit sell. Won't let us now because price decided to move on us. There we go. So now we can pull that under just a little bit for us. Hit modify order. There we go. Have that fill. So now we took a little bit of profit. We took about half of our money out. So that will be decent because now we could roll that in and we locked in some decent profits. It's not the highest profits, but again, it's profits, and getting a few percent gain week after week or month after month is going to really stack up over time. So don't get too greedy here either. That 2% may not be life-changing money, but over time it could be. So over on graph, we don't really have, we have 300 graph. So if we're looking at support resistance areas, our average buy-in is 26,655. So it would take quite a strong push down for us to want to take some profits. Actually, did I look at the right one? At 26,555, we don't have very much graph. We really don't have very much unrealized profit. We did take a lot of profit on the way up, I believe. So yeah, we did a few different sells back here. So we took quite a bit of profit. Not really going to average in because we would be averaging up unless we see a break of that 26,424. So we would want to watch market conditions to see if that would be a possibility. So now Anchor, we have about 400. We do have a little bit of profit. Again, we probably took most of our profits. That's why we're not the highest. We have a 41.31. So we bought in right around this area here where we could retest. Buying in there could be helpful. So this 40.94 probably not going to be the best buy-in. It being 100 coins won't really throw our average off too much, won't really help our average too much because it's not very much different than our average, but it will give us a little bit more to play with for an initial continuation forward or a bullish trend forward later. So XRP, this is one we're probably going to want to pick up more of because we only have 200. We kind of missed on the run here, so we will want to look at different support resistance areas. This may be a very sloppy shoulder, head, and shoulder, which could try to break us down, so draw this out right quick. Don't know why that looks different. Oops, used the wrong tool, but there's the path tool, so there's your shoulder, head, shoulder, very zigzaggy. Delete that, you get the idea. Your neckline would be a slanted neckline, and then you would draw from your head down to your neckline. Maybe you want to draw that a little short just because of the way the head and shoulders could look. Not very textbook, but this could give us a pullback toward around that 185. I would watch other analysis to see if this is a possibility, but we do have the MPP stating that we could pull back toward this $2.11. So maybe we want to buy in. We do have $1.92 as our average price, so that $2.11 might not be the best unless you're really thinking we're never going to break $2 again. $2 was like an all-time high for us for the bull market, so retesting that and breaking it would be very, very weird to see. So maybe we do buy in like another 100 here. We only have about 200, so don't have much invested. That would be a pretty decent area to buy in. Again, not going to really help our average price there. So if we do crash out, we would still be pretty affected. This would raise our average price as we're buying in a higher area. It wouldn't raise it too much because we're not buying a very large amount. But if you were to buy a larger amount, keep in mind it would throw your average higher. So that is a decent buying area. We could also do based on this pattern. So we have some consolidation in this range. So doing around that top of that range could be a decent area to try and get some in on. So buy another 100, and that is about $1.88, $1.91. So since that's right around the average, and we just said we may not see much lower, we could possibly go a little more aggressive in that area and try to pick up about double our position. Again, we're playing with paper money, so we can afford to kind of throw in these heavier positions, but you want to keep in mind your percentage gain, whether you're trading with $5 or $1,000. So percentage gain over time is going to be what helps you. Don't get too focused on the dollar values. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Hit the like and subscribe.